Hi everyone, I'm Donna Stellhorn, your practical astrologer, and today we are looking at the full moon. It's on December 4. This full moon is at 13 degrees of Gemini. We're going to do a short overview and then we're going to look at your sign and what's ahead for you. So aspects are the way that planets talk to each other, and with this full moon at 13 degrees, we see that it is not really talking to any other planets except between themselves, the sun and the moon. Now, the orb that I give for planets talking to each other is 7 degrees, and that I give for even aspects like semi-sextile and inconjunct. For a sesquiquadrant or a semi-square, I squeeze it down to 3 degrees. But you can see on this aspect grid here that while the sun is opposing the moon, they're not making any other aspects save one, which is that exact square to the north node and the south node. So I cleared off everything else off the chart, and so you can see this very clearly, how it's actually forming a grand cross. So a grand cross is 4 squares with 2 oppositions. So we can see that here are our squares, and then our oppositions, and that forms our grand cross. And what a grand cross feels like is that you are in perpetual motion. The one square leads to the next square, leads to the next square, leads to the next square. So here with this full moon, what we have is there's a constant choice over and over and over again, or in succession perhaps, which is, are you going to choose what is familiar and easy, south node, or are you going to do your life path but do the harder thing, pull yourself out of your comfort zone and move forward? And involved in this is the sun and moon, which is one side the moon is needs and the other side the sun is ego. And so there's a combat, this part of you going on that says, this is my identity. And so if your identity is the explorer, the adventurer, you're going to go towards that north node. If your identity is, I don't want to do anything new, I want it to be comfortable and easy, you're going to go towards that south node. And so from this perspective, everyone is getting this choice right now over this 2-week period of saying, everything else doesn't matter. What are you going to do with your life? What are your goals? What are your aspirations? And that will help you shift your identity and fulfill your needs. Now, the other planets aren't quiet completely. They're talking with themselves. So think of this as like you're at a party and you could decide who you're going to be at that party. Are you going to be the person who goes out and mingles with all of these people that you don't know, maybe finding new connections for a relationship, a friendship, some sort of business collaboration? Or are you going to stay by the punch bowl and just watch the crowd and stay to yourself? So that's the north node, south node, sun, moon dynamic going on. The rest of the party that's going on is these other planets. And one of the things that we see is this ongoing energy of this grand trine, which is starting to form at the time of this full moon. Is this always so beneficial? No, I don't think so. I think that it makes things easier, and that means that it makes the good things happen easier. It makes the bad things happen easier. So the bottom line about this full moon is that you're either saying, it doesn't matter what's going on in the world, I'm going to go do what I want to do. Or if you're waiting for the world to open up and the economy to shift, or for the phone to ring or something like that, it says don't do that, because you're doing that grand cross that says take action. And the way to take action is to go out and pursue what it is that you want. And as you do, you find out if that's truly what you want. Is it the north node that you're doing? Or is it the south node that you're doing? And if it's the south node, you say, that's not what I want. You let it go and you move on to the next thing. And you keep moving forward until this clunk, clunk, clunk of the grand cross turns into something that's smooth and moves you forward. Okay, Libra, let's do your predictions for love and money. And so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this chart and I'm going to change the house system to a 0 Aries chart, because these are general predictions. And then I want to turn the chart so that Libra is on the ascendant. So these are predictions for Libra and Libra rising. And the first thing we want to do is go look for Venus and see what Venus is up to. And here is our Venus. Whoops, let me find my pen. Here is Venus sitting in your 3rd house. So this is about communication and sending your words out into the world. So this may be that you need to post your podcast or your videos. You might be starting a blog, or you may just be emailing certain people and just saying, whatever you need to say, or pulling a sibling aside and talking to them. But it's all about communication. This is also very strongly about transportation. And so what's going on with your vehicle? Are you thinking about getting a new vehicle? Does your vehicle need some tender loving care? This is about your neighbors and what connection you have with them. And this is also about siblings and cousins and those relatives who are about your age. And so that's an opportunity where you can make a stronger connection with any of those people during this time. Now, looking at this full moon, it's lighting up your area of education, writing, teaching, publishing. This is also your area of travel. It is about legal matters and things that are foreign. It's about religion. So it encompasses quite a lot. And having the full moon there lights up your area and says, what are you doing about these things? Now, you don't have to, over a 2-week period, do all of these things, but you will find your attention is on at least 1 or 2 of them. So if you're in school, of course, and it's obvious, then the focus is how to get all the schoolwork done, how to ace the test, etc. If you're not in school, this might be a time where you're thinking about whether you should apply to school, or you may be looking at some accelerated programs. This could be about travel, and with all of the planets going on in the 3rd house, about the logistics of getting you and your luggage to your destination. So if you're in some sort of legal matter too, you have some good energy here. This full moon is opposing that sun in Sagittarius, which is ruled by Jupiter, which gives you some extra luck. This is also about dealing with your rules, your ideas, the things that define you, and the expectations that you put on yourself. Those sort of things you may be challenging at this time. You might be shifting some of your thinking about these topics. Now, this full moon, of course, is doing that square to the south node as well as the square to the north node as part of that big grand cross. So the square to the south node is about doing things by the seat of your pants, not really planning it out. It's in the 12th house. I know it's in Virgo, and so that feels like it's planning it out, but it's only planning out like the next step because it's in the 12th house. And so it's like, I'm just going to do the same routine I had before, and then I'm sure I'll get some different results. Versus the north node in the 6th house, but in Pisces, which is about trusting in the process, that remembering that it may be in the process of art or your business or anything that you're building one step onto the other, that in the beginning it's not good, it sucks. You may not be happy with the results you get happier with the results over time with practice. And that's what the north node in the 6th house is talking about. It says, do those good practices, trust in the process of it. And the process is, it's first hard and the results are not good, and then it gets better. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, we want to know what Venus is doing with the ruler of the 5th house. And so we're looking at what the relationship is between Venus and Uranus, and they are actually making an out of sign opposition. So an opposition does mean that you already have a potential of opposites attracting, but when you throw in the out of sign plus Uranus, you could get someone who's very different than what you're expecting. So this is, as you're out in the world, you could meet someone and be completely surprised that you're attracted to each other, that there's so much chemistry. It could just turn your world upside down. And if that's what you're looking for, that's fantastic. This also says that the places where you expect to meet someone, you won't. If you're in a place where you are sure you're not going to meet someone, that's likely where you're going to meet them. So it's the unexpected happens, and that is part of the out of sign and the Uranus. Now, I did want to say there's additional compatibility here, though, in this opposition, and that is that Uranus is back in the sign of Taurus, which is ruled by that Venus, so you have a hidden aspect. So it is that you meet this person who's so very different than what you expected, but then you find out that you went to the same grammar school, or that you absolutely love the same novel. There's some sort of hidden connection that comes out, and you find that you're more compatible than you knew. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, we want to see what the relationship is between the ascendant ruler and the descendant ruler, and that would be Venus and Mars. And right now they're actually not making an aspect, but they are in the same sign, and by the end of December Venus is going to catch up with Mars. So right now you may feel a little disconnected, even though you're in the same sign, so there is a strong connection. But it is something, as you step forward, you're the Venus, you step forward, you will meet up with your partner and be more in harmony as we get towards the end of December. But right now, you're still on the same page. It's just that you're at the beginning of the page and they're at the end of the page, or something like that. So the idea here is that it may be tough to work out really big, difficult things right now, but those things will get a lot easier after we get out of this full moon energy and get into the new moon. Now, when it comes to your money, we're very concerned about what's going on in your second house, and Mercury is there, and that is that you're thinking about it and you're talking about it and maybe doing spreadsheets and looking over the numbers, and that's all good. And then, of course, you pull money from both Mars and Pluto. Mars is not so active in this chart, so let's talk about Pluto, because Pluto is actually quite active with your sign ruler, and that is that Venus is making a sextile to Pluto. So a sextile means that you have an opportunity to get something. So what I say is, your friend needs a wedding cake, you call up the bakery, they take the order, you go in, you pay for the cake, they deliver it, everything's fine. But you had to do all of the steps. You had to go through step by step and get everything done. And when you do, things work out. That's your opportunity. Now, the Pluto it's just started, it's a 20-year aspect, but it started to crawl through that area of risk-taking and creativity for you. And so that's time to start to expand and really just unleash your creativity. That is that you could step outside your comfort zone, just doing things differently by a smidge, and see if those changes resonate with you, if you like the direction it's going, or if you should pivot and try something else. So this is just another opportunity for doing this. When the Venus lines up so nicely like this, it can bring you profits. With an astrology reading, you get more information about who you are, your talents and abilities. You get to see what obstacles are ahead, and you can get a game plan for how to get past those obstacles and find success. So if you're interested in having a reading, there's a link in the description. Now, when it comes to money derived from business or from investments, we want to know what the relationship is between the ruler of the second house and the ruler of the eighth house. So we are looking at Venus's relationship with Mars and Venus's relationship with Pluto. And so we have the Mars-Venus, which they're both in the same sign. They may not be a conjunction, but they are talking to each other. They're kind of like siblings on the opposite ends of the party, so they know, what your sister's thinking, but you're not actually speaking to her at the moment because she's on the other side of the room. And of course, we just talked about that sextile with Pluto and how good that is. So you have some really good energy here. This is mostly about just getting your thinking process in alignment. Jupiter is about, or Jupiter in the Sagittarius that the Venus is in is about expansive thinking, thinking bigger. It's quite possible you've been playing it small, and it's time to say, all right, I want something bigger. Even if you can't hit the moon, like they say, shoot for the moon, you'll hit the mountaintop. You at least get to the mountaintop. That's fantastic. So this is a time to look at your goals, your plans, and say, I wonder if I could do that faster. I wonder if I could do it bigger. I wonder if there's some way to make it better. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, and so that would be a paycheck, we are looking to see what the ruler of the 11th house is doing with the ruler of the 2nd house. And we don't have an aspect between Sun and Pluto. We do have a connection here that is forming with Sun and Mars, and that is that the Sun is going to catch up with that Mars, and that means that you, in this particular case, that they come to you and say, we've noticed you're doing some good things. Now, the problem is that it's not a conjunction in this chart. So you may get some kudos and some compliments over this next 2 weeks, and then you want to, when you're making an aspect, go back and say, hey, you remember how good you're thinking I'm doing? Now I want to raise. But there's no aspect going on right now, so therefore the money doesn't come into your hands. So it would be better for you to just collect together all of those compliments, all of those I was trying to think of another word besides kudos. Maybe you can give me one in the description, in the comments. But just collect together those brownie points, and then you're going to cash those in when that aspect lines up in the future. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. I recently did a class of predictions for 2026. There is now 17 videos that you can access. There is a link to get access to those videos. I also put out a weekly newsletter, an illustrated newsletter. And so if you like astrology and you love black cats, this is the newsletter for you. That newsletter is free. There's a link in the description, and I will see you in the next video.